Okay, so sand dunes are another depositional landform, and they are mostly formed when sand is deposited by longshore drift that's moved up the beach by the wind. So the wind is taking material. It also can be little particles of sand that jump along the beach. We've told you a transportation method is saltation, which is going to be the movement of tiny sand particles, tiny sand particles along the beach. Along the beach. So we have our different types of dunes. Firstly, we might have a piece of wood, like driftwood, that is left on the beach. It might be from a fence, or it might be just brought in by the ocean or the sea. And because the wind speed is decreasing, sand is deposited often around that piece of driftwood. And around that piece of driftwood, you find a small embryo dune, which is the start of your dune. So you find a small embryo dune. Your embryo dunes are then colonized by plants like marram grass. So they start to be colonized by marram grass, and they then stabilize, because remember, they have the roots stabilize the sand, encouraging more sand to accumulate there. So you then have something called a foredune, and I'm going to do some grass that sticks out of it. This is called a foredune. And remember, your marram grass, I'll write this down, your marram grass stabilizes the dunes. So your marram grass stabilizes the dunes. You then find that vegetation continues to grow. It wants to stay there, it's good, it stabilizes the dunes, and you find more vegetation. So we're going to find more vegetation that's going to stick out of all the other dunes. And this dune here is called a mature dune. So this dune here is called a mature dune, and eventually that will turn into that, where you've got more vegetation sticking out of it. It's building up, remember, because more sand is accumulating around the dune. And new embryo dunes then form in front. So this is happening, this process, that will get bigger, etc. Then it becomes a foredune, then it becomes a mature dune. And then you tend to find in areas like this, if you've ever been to sand dunes, you get a dune slack. And a dune slack is basically like a tiny pool of water that forms hollows in between the dunes. So when it rains or when it's particularly stormy, you tend to find little pools of water. What you need to remember here is longshore drift has moved material up the beach, and then saltation, those tiny particles have been bounced along the beach and they form around a piece of driftwood. This then forms a small embryo dune, which encourages marram grass to grow, and that marram grass stabilizes the dune and creates a foredune. This then grows into a mature dune where you have more marram grass, and you have that dip, which is called a dune slack.